the world's best-selling soprano, so many awards, decades of a successful career, Sarah, and here you are with a brand new album, Him. How did that come about?
Well, with all of my albums, there's always a theme behind them, and generally that theme happens because whatever's been happening in my life at that time, where I am geographically, all my thoughts, my spirit. So I'd actually come away from the Russian space program.
Yes.
I've been training in Russia to, to be a cosmonaut and go to the ISS. And I came out of it, and after so many years of training towards it, I needed to ground myself. I needed to come back to myself and do what I normally do, which is, of course, is be a singer and performer. So I found a little house on the beach which I rented, and invited a friend of mine who's an opera coach and asked if he would come and work with me, and we'd sing all sorts of things together. And I did that for a few months, and then after a while, my producer, of who I've worked with for many years, Frank Peterson, he called me and he said, "Sarah, it's time to get back to work. It's time to start recording again." And he said, "What's going on in your mind? You've obviously been enlightened by all the things you've been going through, or whatever's going on in your head." And I said, I would really, really like to work with songs which are full of hope and light and remind me of, times in my childhood. And I said, I've come back to the world and I'm start focusing on all the newspapers and seeing stuff online and whatever. And I said, I feel that the world is quite kind of dystopian at the moment. It has a dystopian feel, and people feel quite kind of unsettled about their lives, what's going to happen in the future and the world around them as well. So I just felt that these kind of songs would make me feel better, and all of my fans who are interested in my music.
What concerns you most? Because you're talking about a dystopian world. What are you most worried about, Sarah?
The beauty of being an artist, that whatever's going on around us, we think about the negatives, and we always, as artists, we will talk about things that are disturbing us, but we always generally say there is a happy end, there's a good end. I love human beings, and I have a very sort of positive attitude to what's going on. Of course, there's a section of people that are bad, and that's always been when you go back in history. But I think as human beings, if something isn't right, we feel it, we thread together in some ways, and we go forward and make something positive in the end. And you can see that when you look through history, whatever absolute horror has gone on. And I did find, one of the things I wanted to do with this album is work with choirs all over the world. And what I find in my own singing training is that our teachers will, if there are a lot of us together, will start us off in the morning and say, or our singing coaches, and say, "Come on everybody, let's sing in harmony." And we do that, and it's amazing the endorphins that creates, and the togetherness, and there's that beautiful thread through humans in that way. And you find with audiences, when they're listening to choirs or humans singing together, they feel it's a real togetherness as well. So that's one of the reasons why I used a lot of choir, or worked with a lot of choirs on this album. And also, if you look at history and you look at I can only choose my own country, for example, and when I've talked to my relations, who's now sadly not here anymore, but who lived through wars, they said that there was an amazing amount of music at that time, people singing together with a piano during the war years in their homes. And I think it's something that humans do to make themselves courageous to keep going through. So that's also sort of reasons for my album.